Hello. Hello guys and welcome back to today's video. So till now what we have seen HTML, we have seen basics to advanced HTML, and now we have covered basic CSS, and today's video we are going to cover some advanced topic of CSS. So we'll have a quick recap what we did till now of CSS so that you get back an idea, and then we'll start with our advanced CSS topics. So let's start. So first of all, we saw what is CSS. So CSS is your cascading style sheet. Yeah. Then what we saw, what does it handle? So it handles look and feel of a page. So where is it? We also saw that. Then we saw the history of CSS. We saw cascading style sheet level 1, level 2, CSS2, and who created it. Then we saw why should we use it to create stunning websites, become web designer, control your web, and learn other languages. Then what we saw applications of CSS. So it saves times, page loads faster, it's superior to HTML, and it has multiple device compatibility, right? Then we saw the syntax of it, the selector property and values. Then we saw the multiple ways you can use your CSS, which is your inline, embedded, and external, and also imported if you want to use it. Then we saw the type selectors, universal selectors, the descendant selectors, the class selectors, ID selectors, child selectors, the attribute selectors, multiple style rule. Then we saw group selectors. Then we saw the rule of overriding. Then we saw the length of unit length. Then what we saw, your absolute length units, then relative length units. Then we saw CSS colors. What are different ways you can use your CSS colors? Then we saw how you can attach some background image. Then we saw fonts, how you can design your fonts. Then we saw images, links, tables, your borders, margins, lists, paddings, cursors, scroll bar. Yeah, so we have seen till scroll bar, correct? So in today's video, we'll start with CSS visibility, correct? So we have already covered one property of CSS visibility, which is your collapse. We used it in tables, correct? We used to make it collapse the rows, the border of the table, correct? So in today's video, we'll see how you can use your visibility. So how you can use it. So let's start with it. Let's go to our HTML page. Let's remove this. Then let's say some p tag is there. Also, if you don't know, you can create class and tags like this. So you give your tags name, then what you do dot operator, and then you say your class name. So you say, let's say CL. Yeah, so this is your class's name. Then let's say there is some content. Then what you say dot CL, then you say visibility, and you can say hidden. So let's comment this out for now, and let's see how it looks without it. So go over here and go live. Yeah, so there is some content, it's printing on the page, correct? Now come over here and uncomment this. So now your image, your text is hidden, correct? So why do we use this visibility? So let's say there are some content onto your web page, correct? But let's say you don't want to print that data on your web page. But to remove that, you have to change the whole structure of your page, correct? So if you take out one element, you have to restructure your whole page. So you don't want to do that. It's still under construction, maintenance, correct? So what you can do is you can just hide it. The user will not see it, but it is still there, correct? Then when you complete it, you can make it visible again, correct? Then there is one property collapse, we already saw that. So if we use it with our non-table elements, it will work as your hidden only. So let's try that. So let's say collapse. Yeah, so our content is still not visible. Why? Because we are using it with non-table element. Then there is your initial, which is your initial visibility, and then there is your inherit visibility. So let's first see initial. Yeah, so your initial is visible. Then there is your inherit. So what does inherit mean? So it will inherit its parent's visibility property. So let's say there is one more class. Let's say there is one main class, and inside which you have made this p tag and cl class. Let's say you are doing dot main, and over here what you are saying visibility is hidden. So see, your content is not visible. So what we did visibility inherit, correct? So the visibility of this p tag is inherited from its parent tag, correct? Let's format this document. Yeah, so the visibility of your parent tag is hidden, correct? And this is inheriting it from the parent tag, so this will also be hidden. So if you say initial over here, so now it's visible, correct? So you can use this for multiple purposes on your web page. Then there comes your CSS positioning. What does positioning mean? So it means where do you want to put your content of your web page. So let's say you have put some images, or let's say tables, or let's say cards, something. So positioning means where do you want to put it onto your web page. So there are three types of positioning. First one is your relative positioning. What does relative mean? It's relative to your other tags, correct? So how you can use this? You can give style and you can say position is your relative, and then you can say left and top. So let's try that. So let's give this cl class some more attributes. Let's remove this visibility for now. Also let's remove this. Yeah, let's say your height is 200 pixel, width is also 2, let's say 400 pixel. Yeah, your color is white, your background color is black. Yeah, so it's looking something like this. So what we are going to see, we are going to see relative positioning, correct? So what you can say, position relative. Then what you can say, left. Let's say left, we want to move it right, correct? So let's say we want to move it by 80 pixels. And let's say top, we want to move it down, so we'll say top, and we'll say 20 pixels, correct? So now your content is over here. First it was coming over here. So if you remove this and observe, so your box was here, correct? After giving this, it's coming over here. Yeah, so you can use relative positioning like this. So there are mainly four properties which we use. So which is move to the left, move to the right, move up, and move down, correct? So what we did just now, we moved it right and down, correct? So to move right, what we do, we give value to left. So if you observe over here, we are giving some value to left. So what it will do, it will put some pixels onto the left of your element. So we are putting 80 pixels onto the left of our element, correct? And we are putting yeah, so we are putting 80 pixels onto the left of our element, correct? So what does it mean? We are moving to the right. So what it is stating over here, if you want to move right, use positive value for left. So we are using positive value for left. Then we are using positive value for top also. So what does this mean? It will give 20 pixels on top of it. So we are moving down, correct? So let's say if you want to move to the right, correct? Let's say you are moving to the right. So what you can say is you can give negative values. So we are giving minus 10 pixels. So it will go right. It will move to the left, correct? If we use minus top 20, so what does it mean? It is moving upwards, correct? So observe it now. If you give something much more, yeah, so it is coming like this now. So this is how you can use. So let's move on. Then there comes your absolute positioning. So what does absolute mean? It means your whole screen, and from the top left corner it will start measuring your position, correct? So what you can say, your top left corner, it will measure the pixels. So you use the same properties only. You move left, you move right. So what you can say over here, you can say absolute. Yeah, so it will count from over here, from the top of this page, and then it will move, correct? So you can also use right and bottom properties. Yeah, just like your left and top, but mostly we use negative values if we want to use right and bottom into our left and top. Yeah, with this let's move on. Then there comes your fixed positioning. So what does fixed mean? If you use fixed one time, it will be fixed onto your web page. Let's add some content into our division tag. So where we are giving fixed, we are giving it to CL, correct? So observe now, although we are scrolling down, there is some content which is fixed onto your screen. So we use this kind of property to make our navbar, correct? When we want that our navbar should be stick to one place. If you scroll down, it will be sticked over there only. So this is your fixed position. So in that also you use the same properties. For to moving left, you use negative values for left. To move right, you use positive values of left. To move up, you use negative value for top. And to move down, you use positive value for top. Correct? Let's remove this. And with this, move on. So now we'll understand what is Z indexes. So when you want to create good looking web pages, Z index will be very much used, correct? So what does Z indexed mean? So let's say you are making some cards or images and they are overlapping over each other, correct? Like this. So one image is in the behind and one image is in the front, correct? So when you want to picturize that, when you want to make it on the screen, what you can use is you can use Z index. So what does it mean? First image will be on the backwards. So you can say you are making layers. So first layer will be on the back and second image will be on the top. So how does it work? So it will work like the highest value will come on the front and the lowest value will go on the back. So we mostly use -1 for a element which we want to put to the back, correct? So this is the graph. So the lowest value will be on the back, correct? Then on top of that, the largest values will come. So your Z index auto is your 0. correct, which is your default. And then there is your z index 1, z index 2, 3. You can go up till whenever you want, correct, wherever you want. So highest value will be on the front. So let's try that out. So let's give some, let's remove this first. So over here, observe your main is containing your CL class, correct? So main is in the back. So what you can say dot main, you can say background color is your black. Also let's put some text over here. Let's say this is in the back. Background color is black. We can say your color is white. You can say width is 500 pixels. Height is also 500 pixels. Margin will say 30 pixels. Yeah. So now it's looking something like this. Now let's give something to it. And let's give z index to it. Z index, let's say -1. First, let's see it without giving z index. Let's say color is your black, the default color. Background color is white. Let's say wheat. Yeah. Width is 200 pixel. Height is also 200 pixels. Yeah. So we are getting it something like this. So currently we are using different colors like to differentiate. But let's say if we are putting this somewhere down over here, so it will be, they are both currently on the same layer, correct? So what you can do to make this, the one layer is behind and another layer is in front, what you can say, this is your z index -1. What you can say, z index is your 1. Yeah. So now this layer is in the front and this layer is on the back, correct? We can say padding 30 pixels and margin 40 pixels. Yeah, so we are getting it something like this. So you can use z index to make layers, correct? So this layer is now in the behind and this layer is in the front. So when you want to use overlapping elements, you can use this. So with this, let's move on. So yeah, CSS layers. When you make a website, you'll use CSS layers. So for that, you can use z indexes, correct? Just now, how I show you. Now let's start with our pseudo classes. So in the previous video, I mentioned pseudo classes, correct? So what are pseudo classes? So pseudo classes in CSS are used to select and style elements, correct, based on their state or position. So we design it for a particular position or state. Let's say we are hovering it, it's focused, or let's say we are user is clicking on it. So for a particular state, we use pseudo classes, correct? So without the need of adding extra classes or IDs in the HTML elements, so we can use this directly. It's the feature of it, correct? So these pseudo classes are primarily used for creating interactive and dynamic style in web pages. So we want to make our web pages more interactive to the user, so it's more interesting for the user, correct? So let's see what's the syntax. So pseudo classes start with a colon, correct? We already have seen it. We put a colon after a tag's name and then we use it. A functional pseudo classes contains pair of parentheses. So there are pseudo classes functions also which you can use. And there is the element to which a pseudo class is attached is termed as an anchor element. What is it called? It's called an anchor element. For example, button, hover, a focus, your anchor tag focus, etc. So here button and elements are called the anchor elements. So pseudo classes are applied style to an element as per the content of the documentary. Pseudo classes also apply a style to an element in relation to the external factors such as history of navigation of elements. So we can say visited, or say let's say checked. We can use it for links or buttons. Correct? So let's try to use them now. We'll use the mainly used ones so that you can get an understanding. So first one which we are going to see, we are going to see the full screen one. So what we want to do, let's say when the user makes the screen full screen, we want to change something. So let's say if it's in regular mode, we'll display something else, and if it's in the full screen mode, we'll display something else. Correct? So let's create a button. So for this we are going to use a little bit of JavaScript. We are going to take help of JavaScript, but don't worry, we'll learn it later in the course. Currently just observe the CSS. Correct? What you can say over here is, you can say on click. So these are some events of buttons. So there is on click, on submit. We use these events and then we can use it with JavaScript. So currently don't worry about it, just observe. So what you can say, to create a variable we use variable. Correct? Then what you say, we have used CL. Correct? You can say document dot get element by ID. So let's create an ID over here. Let's say sample. Correct? Put a semicolon after it. Then what you can say, L dot webkit request full screen. So what we are doing over here is, we are just requesting for a full screen function so that we can get a full screen. Correct? Because many times when you press F11 get a full screen, the code won't work because it won't know that user is using the full screen mode. Click me. Correct? So let's say when we are using it in the normal mode, this one is your wheat and this one is your black. So we want to change that. So what you can do is, go over here and you can say main full screen, and then you can say background color wheat. Yeah. So observe this now. Press F11 to get out. So observe this. When you click over here, we are getting a full screen. Correct? Also, let me do one more thing. Let's say your CS class is there, right? So CL dot CL colon full screen. So this is your class. What you can say, background color is your black and your color is white. Yeah. So go over here now and click on it. So yeah, we have made some mistake in over here because we are giving this as black. So don't give this for now, you'll get confused. So click on it, and if you observe, we are getting the wheat as a background color, right? So when the user uses full screen, you want to change something onto your web page, so you can use this full screen pseudo class. Correct? Then there is your WebKit autofill. So what is WebKit? So browser provides some features. Correct? So when you want to use this browser features into your web page, you can use this WebKit. So what will WebKit autofill do? So let's say if you are using Mozilla Firefox, or let's say mainly Chrome, so there is one option of autofill. Correct? So it, on your past forms, it will give you the option to autofill. So what we want to do, let's say we are using some form and we want the user to get an option of autofill. So for that you can use autofill. Let's say you are creating some form. Yeah, inside it, let's say you are creating some input box. Type, let's say email. Say autocomplete is your email. Let's say placeholder is email. Yeah, so as soon as you put your autocomplete email over here, it will allow you to use your WebKit methods. So if you click over here now, you'll get an option to automatically fill it. Correct. What I want to do, that autocomplete is coming the option, right? Autocomplete is showing. So what I want to do, after the autocomplete is done, I want to change the, let's say, color of your text box. So how you can do this? You can say, we are using only one input, right? So we can directly say input, and what you can say, WebKit autofill. Then one you can say, let's say border solid 4 pixels green. So let's try this out. Yeah, so if you observe, we are getting a border of green after the autofill is done. Observe it again. So this is plain right now, correct? So when you click on it and use your autofill, it will change its border color. Yeah, so this is how you can use this. Let's move on. Then we also saw for particular types, right? So what we want to do, there is one option called as disabled. So when, let's say your some input box is disabled, correct? So what I want to do, when some, let's say input box is disabled, then I want a particular background color for it. So how you can do that? So let's say this is your disabled one. So you can just write disabled and it will be disabled onto your web page. So observe now, it's coming on gray. What you can say is, you can say input type email disabled. Then you can specify particular background color. You can also decide the width and height of it. Let's say 30 pixels. Correct. It's, we gave the width very less. Yeah. So when one option is disabled, then only it will occur. So we are getting this in green. If you try to click on it, it will not work because we have already disabled it. So go over here and remove this and observe it again. It has changed. Correct. Now it's working. But if it is disabled, then this CSS property will be applied to it. Correct. Yeah. So let's move on. Then there is your anchor tag pseudo classes. So we use your anchor tag, then pseudo class any link when we want to provide for any link that is present in your web page. Correct. So what you can say is, let's say you have provided some anchor tag over here. href, you have made it nothing. You can say click me. One more you create, and it is saying Click me too, don't leave me out. It's getting FOMO. I have FOMO. Correct? So what you can say, dot any link, then you can say correct. So observe, if there are any links present onto your page, it will applied. This your style will be applied. Correct. So it doesn't matter. So you don't have to provide for every link. You can just use any link. So if there is any link present onto your page, it will be having this style. Correct. So you can use this pseudo class. Then there is a link property. So let's also see that. Right. So it is not applied. Why? Because we have already given the that all the links should come in this one. Any link if there is there, it will come under this. Correct. So you can also use that. Let's move on. Now we'll see tree structural pseudo classes. So what is tree structural? So tree structure is basically nothing but your elements and your parent elements and your child elements. When you want to target them, how you can use that. So let's say you have created something over here, correct? Let's remove this for now. Let's say there is multiple p tags inside your main class and this one is empty. This holds content. Yeah, this is holding content, this is also holding some content, right? So let's see empty. Let's say p dot p colon empty. So when there is one p tag which is encountered as empty, let's separate it. Where why it is not applying over here? Let's remove this too. We have made color as white, right? Why? So why is it not working then? Let's provide it with some class. This should work only. Let's say main.p, say dot main, and then let's see if this is working. This is not working. Never mind. Let's move on for now. You can also say you can also use first child. Let's say p dot first child. Oh, p colon first child. I guess there is some issue. So yeah, I'll just explain this for now. I'll make sure in the next video I'll get it back to you why it is not working. Yeah, so what when we use empty, when it is encountered that some tag is empty, then we can use this tree structure empty pseudo class. And in the first child, when we use it, when there is encountered the first child, so let's say there are multiple p tags, but the only first child will be encountered, then there is only of type. So what does it mean? So let's say there are 5 p tags in one class, and in another class there is only one p tag. So if we use p tag only of type, so if there is only one p tag in that class, then only it will be applied. Correct? Now let's move on. You can use your user action pseudo classes, so which is one of them we have already seen, which is your hover. Then there is your active, focus, focus visible, focus within, and hover. So let's start with hover again. So let's create a box. This is your main, correct? Cancel. Background color will say as usual. Color will say white. Yeah. Okay, so we are getting it. So which one we are going to see? We are going to see hover. So let's say when I hover, I want to change the color of it. So how you can use this? So you can say dot main, and then you can say hover. So when hover happens, what you can say? You can say background color, change it to aqua. Correct? So now observe this. Correct? So then there is your active one. So let's see this also. Let's create some button. Let's say ID of button is your click. Then you can say click me. You can say click. Then what you can say, background color is for now something blue. Then you can say black only. Correct? So we are getting our buttons which looks something like this. Correct? So let's say when your button is active, what do you want to do? You just want to change the color of it. So go over to your button and push a click onto it and hold it there. So what does it mean? When your button is active, correct? So then only the color will be changed. As soon as you lift the click, it will change the color again. Correct? So we use this when we want to, we use this with links also, and we use this with buttons also. Correct? So this is how you can use this. So next one is your focus. So let's try that out too. Hashtag click. You can say focus. Background color will say brown. So as soon as you click it, it will change its color. Correct? So click outside one more time and then click it again. So this is your focus property. correct? So as the same, you can also use focus within. We use it with forms when we want to change the color of or background or styles of some form input tags, but it is not much often used, correct? So with this, let's start with our 2D transformations, how you can use transformations into your web page, correct? So currently our web page is looking something like this, correct? So let's start with it. So why do we use transform? So let's say you are using some graphics onto your web page and you want to transform your web graphics, correct? So the first one is your translate method. So why do you use translate? So to move your graphic from one position to another position. So we provide x and y axis coordinates to it. So let's do this. So currently your box is coming over here, correct? So let's say we want to move it somewhere over here. What you can say in the main, you can say transform, you can say translate, then you provide your coordinates. So let's say on the x-axis 50, let's say 100 on y. Yeah, so observe now it's changing its position, so you can get your coordinates and put your graphics anywhere, correct? So that is your translate method. Then there is your rotate method. So let's say you want to rotate your graphics on some let's say square or circle or anything. What you can say over here, you can say transform, you can say rotate, and you can say in degrees or pixels also you can say. We'll use degrees for now, correct? So your box is now rotated. So let's say take this from over here and put it in the main hover, correct? And observe this now. So currently your box looks something like this, correct? Now hover your cursor over to your box, correct? So with this you can create interactive designs, and you can use transforms. Yeah, so let's move on. Then there is your scale. So when do we use scale? So when we want to make our let's say square, for now example, we want to make our square bigger or let's say smaller, then we use scale. So we use two coordinates on the x and y. So what we do, we say that make it 2 times as much bigger as it is now on the x-axis, and on the y make it 3 times as bigger, correct? So remove it from over here for now. We'll see firstly a static one, then we'll see when how to use it with hover. What you can say transform, you can say scale, you can just provide 2 3 for now. So it is coming huge, correct? Because it is making it 2 times and 3 times bigger, correct? So let's say we want to reduce it. So how you can do that? You can just say let's make it 0.2, half of, let's say half of it. So half of it 0.5, and half of it 0.25. Why this is also not working? Never mind. So you can make it bigger with it. Oh, we provided 2 over here. Yeah, so observe it now. It's getting tiny. So the smaller number you provide, the size of it will get reduced, correct? So let's say if you have seen on some websites, when you hover onto some images or let's say cards, what it makes us, it pops up it, right? So how you can do that? With CSS only. So what you can say, in main.hover, provide this and say make it 1.2 times bigger, 1.3 times bigger. Correct. So when the user hovers over it, it will appear like it's zooming in. Correct. So you can use this. Then there is your scale x. So in scale, what we provided both coordinates, correct? Your x and y. So what does scale x mean? So scale x mean it will scale on the x axis only. We'll provide one parameter only. So let's provide it here only. You can say scale x. Yeah, so observe it. It's only scaling on to the x axis. Correct. So your x axis is this, right? And your y is this. Correct. Then there is your scale y. So it's, what will it do? You only tell me. It will scale onto the y axis. Correct. Then there is your skew x, skew y. You can also use skew only. So why we use skew? So when we want to skew some let's say rectangle or square, let's say skew x and let's say 20°. So observe now it's skewing onto the x axis. Yeah. So if you provide it in negative, what will it do? It will go onto the right side. Correct. Clockwise. So you can also use skew y to make it skew onto the y axis. Correct. Provide it in positive. Yeah. So with this, we'll move on to our next topic, which is your media queries. So if you remember what I told you, so there are different devices, correct? So we want to target all the devices. We want to just write code once for every devices, correct? So if we are making some website, it should look nice on every device. Let's say on laptop screen, mobile screen, tablet screen, correct? So for that, we can use media screens. So media rule was introduced in CSS 2 and made it possible to define different style rules for different media types. Correct. So media queries in CSS 3 extended the CSS 2 media types idea. Instead of looking for a type of device, they look at compatibility of the device. So we'll use the width of the different screens to make our website look nice. So media queries can be used to check many things such as width and height of a viewport, orientation of a viewport, and resolution of a viewport. So these are your properties of your media queries. So your value, orientation, max height, minimum height, height, max width, min width, and width. Correct. So how you can use this? You can use media queries with @media. Then which property we want to use? We want to use screen one. Correct. And we are using and over here. So what does and mean? So it will include the next property, which is your minimum width. So what we want to do over here is we are saying that if this minimum width of the screen is 480, correct, then only apply this one. So if the minimum width is 480 pixels of the screen, then the background color will be light green. So let's try this out for our box only. What you can say, @media, correct? Then you can say screen, you can say and say minimum width, let's say 480 pixels. And inside this, we have already created a box, correct? Which is your main one, right? Let's say if it's minimum 480, then only I want to print it. You can say main. Otherwise, what I want to do, I want to make some background color changes. correct? So go over to your website now. So it's currently coming in your which color, which did we provide over here is coming, I can't even pronounce this. Let's say wheat. It's coming onto wheat right now. Why it is coming onto wheat? Because we have said over here that if minimum width of your screen is more than 480, correct, then only apply this. So currently we are onto our laptop screen, so its width is more than 480, so it's coming into wheat. So now press F12, that is your developer tools, correct. Over here you will see a icon of laptop and mobile, which is your toggle device toolbar. So click on that. So you'll get something like this. So from over here you can select different devices also. So click on the responsive, or let's say any iPhone that you want to, correct. Let's remove our let's remove all this. Let's see it again so that you can get a better understanding. Yeah, so now press F12 and from over here select responsive, correct. So observe your screen width now. So currently your screen width is 1080 by 668, correct. So observe it as it goes down. So we are at the 480. Yeah, so as soon as we hit 480, it will change the color, correct. So you can do multiple things with it. You can also say make the width of it smaller. Let's say as soon as this hits, make the width and height of it 200 pixels only. We provide it in this only. Yeah, so what you can say for to do that, you can say media screen and you can say max width 480 pixels. And what you can say dot main, let's say height should be let's say 100 pixels only and the width should be 100 pixels only. Yeah, now press F12 again. So observe it now. So after the 480 it will become large. As soon as 480 hits, size will also get reduced, correct. So you can provide this media queries for any width and height and viewport, correct. So you can do multiple things. Currently we are just resizing it and changing the colors, correct. So what we are saying over here is, so in this one what we are saying that if the minimum width is 480, correct. So if your minimum width is 480, so let's say your width is 480 and above, then your background color will be this. And in this one what we are saying, until we hit 480 max width, so max width is your 480. So as soon as we hit 480, change this, only apply till it 4 apply until you hit 480 width, correct. So this is how you can use media queries and you can use it for different purposes, correct. So over here instead of and you can also use or and not, correct, but we mostly use and only. This will do your work. So yeah, media queries are very important and you can use it this way. So now we'll see how you can use Flexbox. So before we discuss about Flexbox, so before Flexbox layout module, there were 4 layout modes. So first one is your block, inline, table, and positioned. So it was very basic ones. So block was for section in a web page, as we discussed about. Then there is your table for two-dimensional table data. Then there is your inline for text. Then there is your position for explicit position of an element, right? But it makes the work harder of a coder, and Flexbox makes it easier, correct? So how you can use Flex is, you can say display Flex, and then you can use various properties of it, correct? So let's create some Flexbox. First of all, let's remove this. Yeah, let's remove this media queries as well for now. And now what we are going to say, there is one main container, correct? Let's create one more container inside it. We are going to say inside. Let's create some elements only over here. So let's create some division tags only. So let's say first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, just provide some text over here. Yeah, now what you can say is in main, right, display, and you can say flex, correct? Then what you can say, dot main, and the immediate childs are your divisions tag only, correct? But it won't work, we have to provide something else for it. Let's say instead of this we are providing p tags. Yeah, now you can say it's child element p, immediate childs. What you can say, background color is equal to something dark, will take. Color is white only. You can say width is 100 pixel, height is 100 pixel. You can say your padding is 20 pixel, your margin is 40 pixel, and let's see how it looks. Yeah, now it's coming perfect. So what we have did, so this is your one main flex box, and inside it we have given some elements. So if we have not provided this as display flex, let's see how it looks. Yeah, so it is coming like ugly, correct? And if you want to make it horizontal now, it's vertical currently, correct? So if you want to make it horizontal now, your work will get much more, you have to do much more work for it, correct? So by providing just display flex, you can see how will you get it, correct? So this is your Flexbox, and you can maintain this. We'll see various properties of Flexbox right now, correct? So we'll see various properties. So first one is your flex direction. So let's use that. Let's say flex direction is your column, so it will come into columns, correct? Let's say row, so it is coming into one row, correct? The row is your by default one. You can also say row reverse, so all of the elements will be reversed. So observe it now. It's coming 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can also say column reverse. Yeah. So all of your elements are coming reversed. Correct. Then you can use flex wrap also. So what you can say? You can say flex wrap, and then you can say wrap. Now go on to your web page. Let's make it column row first. Let's make it row. Yeah. So what will wrap do? It will change according to your width of the page. So let's remove it first and let's see how it is working without the wrap. So press your F12. So observe this currently. If you are decreasing the size, it is not very responsive, correct? Observe, correct? So, but if you go over here and comment this, refresh this, yeah, and press F12 again. So observe this now. It's getting adjusted. It's getting responsive according to the width of the screen and its parent element. Yeah. So this is very useful functionality of Flexbox. Then you can also use justify content to make it center, or let's say flex start, flex end. Let's you see that also. Justify content. You can say center. So it is getting centered. You can say flex start. So it will come on to the start. You can say flex end. So it will go to the end. Correct. You can also say baseline. So baseline will be matched. Correct. So this is all of the properties that you can use with flex. So there is also flex child items. So what are flex child items? So these are your flex child items. Which ones? This ones. These p tags are your flex child items. So you can also use a property with them, which is that you can use order for it. So what will order do? You only tell me. It's self-explanatory. It's a style order, and let's say first I'm giving it last. Let's say style order 3, style order 2, style you can say order of 1, say style and order of which is remaining 4th. Correct. Go on to your web page and observe this now. It is coming in different numberings. Why? So the first order is your 4th one. Correct. So 4th one is coming first. Then second one is your 3, 2 and 1 should come. There is 3, 2, 5 and 1. Correct. So this is how you can use your order property. Then there is your flex container also. So you can use flex grow. So let's see that how you can use flex grow. So what does flex grow means? So it's relative to the other elements of the child of a flex box. So let's remove from all of this. What you can say flex grow, you can say 2. So it is getting larger than other elements, correct? So it is relative to the other flexbox elements. You can also use shrink, I guess. Let's see if you can use shrink with it. Yeah, we can use flash shrink. So what does shrink do? So shrink will define how much it should get smaller related to its other elements. Correct. So then there is your yeah. So we saw flex shrink and flex grow. Correct. So with this we have seen all of the main parts of your CSS. There are various components left yet, but we can't cover all of them in one video. So only main topics are covered which are regularly used and which will be more beneficial to you, correct? So you can just practice this and go on to the internet and learn more new things, correct? But these are your main things that will you use again and again. And if you want to learn more after this, you can start with your 3D transformations, correct? So you can use 3D transformations and then you can move on. Yeah, so I hope this video was nice for you and it made you more knowledgeable and you learned something new. So if you like this video, make sure to like and comment in this video. So in the next video, we'll start with our JavaScript and we'll see how you can use, we'll start from the basics and we'll go till the intermediate level, how you can use your JavaScript, what's the syntax and all of that. So yeah, if you're liking this bootcamp, do make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see